Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name's Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon right across from me. It's Tuesday, July 2nd. You know what this means?
What does it mean?
It means we are full-fledged heading towards draft month of August.
Uh-oh.
Which means that this month is training camp.
Hey, there you go.
So we get some real news and we get to see some real crap.
We're not going to report signings on the eighth string tackle.
Yeah, it's true. No.
Getting cut after a week of signing.
The first preseason game, I believe, is August 1st. So we're not too far away from the start of the NFL season, which means that your research is going to start kicking into high gear. Your preparation for your fantasy league is got to start kicking into high gear, and that starts with the Fantasy Champions shameless plug.
Oh, there you go.
On today's episode of the Fantasy Champions Podcast, we're going to do our second mock draft for 2019. We're going to do 4 or 5 of these. So our second mock draft already. Before we get into that, please be sure to do the following. Go on Twitter, @TheFFChamps. Follow us there. Follow us on Instagram, @TheFantasyChampions. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/FantasyChampions. Subscribe wherever you listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. When you're on YouTube, make sure you click the bell for notifications. Go over to Apple Podcasts and make sure you leave a review because we need your reviews. It boosts the the rankings
and the self-esteem.
Even if it's bad. If you give no. That is not something I should say. Share this podcast with your friends, and let's get in the news before we start the show.
Okay.
There's a lot of news this week. So let's start with the Packers coach, Matt LaFleur. He said he wants to get the running backs more involved in the passing game. This was headlined on RotoWorld's website with Aaron Jones' face.
Ooh.
So I don't know if that means anything, but I would hope they use Aaron Jones in the passing game.
That would definitely increase his value.
Now, you know what's going to happen? He's going to pass it 70 times to Jamal Williams.
They actually probably will, honestly.
That's GG for everyone.
They use him in the third down situations a lot, so.
I cannot stand that. Just use Aaron Jones the full time, Matt LaFleur. You don't need to waste your time with Deion Lewis again like you did last year.
That was a shot.
Yeah. All the Derrick Henry.
You don't like Deion Lewis?
No. Sorry.
Wow.
TJ Yeldon is expected to be in a heated competition in Buffalo's backfield.
Oh, man, that's a competition everybody's looking forward to.
So did you know over the first 11 weeks of the year when he was starting for Leonard Fournette, he was the RB at 12?
Oh, what was it?
The RB12, the 12th ranked, 12th overall.
I might have to write that down.
Skirt. TJ Yeldon's actually one of those players that I like. He averages he's one of those guys that averages like 1.2 fantasy points per touch, which is, among some of the best in the league. But
so what you're saying is TJ Yeldon is essentially Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. No, so I think if Yeldon gets the opportunity, he could actually be somebody decent.
Yeah.
Problem is he's not going to get into the opportunity. We talked about last week backfields that we were avoiding, and Buffalo was on that list. So Yeldon is a guy that I'm definitely not going after. And there's 2 other running backs that I would get before him. But if he does somehow win the job and he gets 200 touches, he might actually be somebody decent. But that's
someone
not
to keep your eye on.
That's somebody to keep your eye on. But I think they would rather use, they got Frank Gore, Devin Singletary, their 3rd-round draft choice, and LaShawn McCoy.
Yikes!
So
one of those guys got to get cut.
We have some more Bills news in a minute, but let's move on to the next one. An anonymous Chiefs official believes any Tyreek Hill suspension will be a maximum of 4 games.
That's
interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We're going to assume Tyreek Hill is suspended for a whole life, and he will probably not be. He'll be drafted by somebody else in our mock draft today. But
yeah,
that is interesting. I did tweet that I was kind of freaking pissed off about it.
Yeah, you were upset.
They ruined me. The NFL ruined me with Kareem Hunt. And it sounds selfish.
Yeah, because he was your fantasy lover, wasn't he?
He was my running back, my second running back, and they ruined me by like, what is it? They didn't even suspend him. They kept him on. They kept him on like the commissioner's list, and then they suspended him after the season, and he's suspended for like 9 games or 10 games or whatever. And now you're going to give Tyreek Hill after he beat his child. Like, this is just, it doesn't make any sense to me. 4 games? Like, and this is what I keep seeing on the internet. Roger Goodell will give a guy who threatened his wife, who he has a history of this, by the way. This isn't just the first time this has happened for Tyreek Hill. He beat his pregnant girlfriend in college before he came into the NFL. And then he supposedly broke his kid's like collarbone, I think it was, because he was angry at him. And then he texted his wife when she was texting him about it and basically said, "Listen, bro," or "Listen, girl," I should say. He said, "Listen, you should fear me too." Like, okay, so that's 4 games.
Seems like a really great guy to host a cookout.
And Tom Brady, deflating some footballs to help his game, is a 4-game suspension. That's the same exact.
NFL watch.
He should be suspended 8 games at least. But to not get, they must have had a really good meeting with him when they met last week. In other news with Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs could have potentially re-engaged in contract negotiations for an extension in the not-too-distant future if the investigation ends with Hill. Well, if it ends with a positive outcome for Hill, which is, isn't like 40 games.
40-game suspension, something light.
Yeah. So Tyreek Hill, a lot of stuff floating around in the news about him. But where do you put him on your rankings? If it's assuming it's an 8-game suspension, where do you want to put him?
If it's 8 games,
or where do you want to draft him? I should say.
I'd have to see where he's going, but I wouldn't like go out of my way to get him.
Yeah. What if it's 4?
If it's a 4-game suspension, okay. So I'd probably let me look down here. He's probably going somewhere in like the 5th round at that point.
Would you be comfortable taking him there?
I'd say 5th, 6th round. I'd be okay with that.
See, he was already a guy for me that I didn't want to draft, and now he's even more of a guy that I don't want to draft.
I know, but he was also going in like the 3rd round before all of this.
Yeah, that's true.
So if he falls down to like the 5th, 6th round,
right,
it changes. It, like I said, it kind of depends where other people are having him go, where the ADP is, and all that stuff.
Right.
So,
Seahawks.com. I guess this is a writer for the team, John Boyle. He believes the team's running back workload could vary game to game.
Yep, that's what they did last year.
So I want to draft Rashad Penny, but I gotta kind of stay away from that. The Bucks are really excited, I guess, about the progress of Ronald Jones.
Hey,
oh boy, he is one of our sleepers for 2019. He is in a good system with Bruce Arians, who did well with David Johnson. So if he gets, he usually likes to use a workhorse back. So at some point this year, Ronald Jones could probably see that. If he's more efficient than he was, like significantly more efficient than he was last year, he could be a good player for your team and a guy in the 14th round, 15th round. Definitely worth it.
He is moving up a little bit though now.
Oh really?
Yeah, but he's still going late in drafts though. And chances are in most people's leagues, they'll see the name and be like, "Oh, he stunk last year," and just like casual players, then just not draft him at all. So you could probably still get him pretty late. But I think he's going in like the 11th round right now. So
LaShawn McCoy, Frank Gore, Devin Singletary. I guess they've all been splitting first team reps. So that goes to our point earlier about don't draft any Bills. According to Adam Johns of The Athletic. I believe I said that right. David Montgomery was a, quote, problem for the Bears defense during OTAs. If you don't remember, the Bears defense had one of the best run-stopping defenses in the NFL. So if David Montgomery is running on one of the best defenses in the NFL and having some success, maybe he'll be good. But that is also a hype train thing.
Yeah, hype train take.
Yeah. Steelers wide receiver coach Darryl Drake praised Donta Moncrief. More praise. The last 3 weeks have been great for Moncrief for how quickly he's picked up the offense. Do you think he's going to end up as a second wide receiver on the team?
He might. It's going to be him or Washington, but I think he might be, especially with all the it is just training camp, but the hype around him.
I'm curious to see how far he gets, and because the people have been wanting this guy to be good for quite some time, and we thought he was going to be. The biggest thing that I point to is everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he could fill the Juju role from the last couple years, and the Martavius Bryant role from before that." And everyone was like super excited about it, but the reality is Moncrief was in a system last year with T.Y. Hilton, and that was it, and he couldn't produce.
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of wide receiver talent around him this year either, though.
Yeah.
So
I just.
But no, I don't.
If you couldn't do it with the Colts, you're not going to be able to do it with the Steelers. Sorry.
Probably not, but
I'm interested to see how that kind of develops because
I am too.
As a guy that's late in draft, I don't even think he's getting drafted in most leagues. So
he's not. I don't think.
I'm trying to find.
But that Steelers receiving core is pretty interesting overall, other than Juju. Guys, we kind of know what we're going to get with Juju, but everybody else is kind of a wild card.
Right. ESPN Cowboys reporter Todd Archer reports Ezekiel Elliott will meet with the commissioner Tuesday in New York to discuss the incident that took place in Las Vegas. He before we started recording, it was reported that he apologized. I haven't read the apology note yet. But Ezekiel Elliott now going to meet with Roger Goodell. This would suck.
Watch it like a 20 game.
I know.
20,000.
It's like an 8-game suspension for shoving somebody. It's on camera. Like the guy literally just like flopped. I'm like, give me a break.
Imagine flopping in real life. Just like
he's like, Zeke went towards him and like he like kind of tapped him with his chest, and the guy like fell on the ground.
What if
either Zeke is extremely powerful.
Dude, it's all the his Chick-fil-A coming out in
all the
one chest bump.
That's true.
But like, imagine just seeing like a celebrity or something like that, or an NFL running back,
and he comes at you.
Are you flopping?
Are you flopping right now?
Like, because you know it's gonna get on camera. Be like, dude, I could like let's say you're mad at him for something, like theoretically, like let's just say like he spilt a drink on your girlfriend, so and you two go head to head and you're butting heads, and you're like, this dude's an NFL player. If I flop right now, he's definitely getting suspended.
That's the first thing that ran through the security guard's mind. He was like, I'm flopping today. He's like, today I'm going to make him look like a fool.
This is the way to get him back.
Suspended 6 games. James Conner. So last week we reported that James Conner was saying that he was basically gonna split snaps almost with Jalen Samuels and all this garbage. This week James Conner had a different tone. He said he expects to have the same role next season. So there goes.
He was just hyping up his buddy.
Yeah, I guess he was just hyping up Jalen Samuels. There's all this. There was this like early. I think I talked about this last time we talked about Connor, but there was this point earlier in the offseason, like around March, when I was sitting there thinking about Jalen Samuels, and I was like, this guy could take James Conner's job, and then I was like, why am I even thinking this right now?
Yeah.
The Cleveland Plain Dealer reports. What the crap, Cleveland?
What now?
You're gonna call your newspaper a plain dealer? I'm sorry, what? They report that Kareem Hunt was questioned outside a Cleveland bar on Saturday night, but there were no charges filed. Apparently he got into a bar fight.
That's a good way to start off your career in Cleveland.
Yeah, also, I don't know where that was. It was a Cleveland bar.
That's what I saw. It was in a bar outside of Cleveland.
So yeah, it says Cleveland bar on this note. But so do you think, can the NFL extend his extension? Like, is that a thing? Or do they just go, whatever?
Or his suspension?
His suspension, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Extension.
Extension.
Extend
Can
the
I
extension.
extend the extension?
Every player on a bad contract.
Yeah. Can I extend the extension?
No, I don't think. Unless it was like really bad.
Yeah. If there's nothing, there were no charges filed, then it should be okay. I think it's just more of like, for the NFL, it's more like the Ezekiel Elliott thing where he like chest bumped the guy. He might get 1 or 2 games for that just because
history.
History, yes, but I think also the fact that they're very strict on the image. So you can't have guys like Kareem Hunt and Ezekiel Elliott, 2 of your best running backs in football, running
just clowning around.
Just clowning around and, punching people in the face at bars. So, and Kareem already has a history. Like, he needs to be extremely careful with
He's got to relax.
He's got to relax. Like, don't be getting into bar fights. I don't know if this will lead to anything, But if he keeps screwing around like this and he gets into any kind of significant trouble, he's like done for life.
Yep.
It's like he needs to relax. And the final piece of news that we have is the Texans running back coach Danny Barrett said Donta Foreman is light years ahead of where he was last year.
I don't want to say that's just training camp hype, but
training camp hype.
Hop on the train, everybody! Choo choo!
Chugga chugga. Yeah, no. I've always wanted to like Foreman, but at this point, Achilles injuries like kind of
I gotta see
careers, especially for running backs. Well, even when he was on the field, he wasn't that great. I don't know why. Like people hype this guy up like he was really good when he was on the field, and I'm like, it's like Dalvin Cook. Like the most fantasy points the first year he played in those first 6 games was like 12 points in standard leagues. And I'm like, what the crap?
Yeah.
What? Why is
at
this
least
guy
Dalvin Cook? Though,
I think he was drafted in the 2nd round last year, Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is. I mean,
he's getting drafted
talented.
In the 2nd round.
Yeah, I'll give you that. At least he's. Oh, right.
Well, he's talented and
he showed a little bit more last year. But
like with Latavius Murray gone, he's got nobody else. Like he is the guy.
I like Alexander Madison, but what can I say? With Dalvin Cook's injury history, maybe.
Okay, boss.
Yeah, I'll stay.
I'll let you draft him.
I'll stay away from that take for now. Let's move into our mock draft segment of the show. It's our second mock draft of the year. Second.
Hey.
So let's get into it. This is how it'll work. We're going to do half PPR 10 team again. Me and Rick are going to get our own teams this time around.
We're not together?
We're going to verse each other this time. We're not together.
This is more fun.
It's more fun this way. So let's get started with the mock draft. If you're watching on YouTube, we do have this little video queued up for you.
Just so you can see what's going on.
Just so you can see what's going on. I have the 3rd pick. I'm the FF champs with our logo there. Ricky is Richie Sour Lemons or Sour. Richie Sour. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Richie Sour.
Oh, there you go.
Richie Sour Lemons is the my fantasy team name, so.
Oh, God.
Had to bring
cringy.
it out.
So let's start the draft off. The first 2 guys off the board are obvious. It's Saquon and Zeke. In my rankings, I have them both as the tier 1 players. At this point in the draft, like we talked about kind of last time, if you're one of the top 6 or 7 teams, you should probably be taking a running back.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting here and I'm going to take, Antonio Brown, not Antonio Brown, I shouldn't say that, DeAndre Hopkins here, I would definitely, I was like living like in last year.
Yeah.
With Antonio Brown.
What?
I was like, wow, all right. So with the 3rd pick, there's some options here. On my personal draft rankings, I have been bouncing between Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey for months on this.
Okay.
And when I look at the top 5 backs, every year there's like 1, maybe 2 guys that either fall out of the top 5 or fall out of the top 10 altogether.
All right.
People are going to think, I'm on drugs for saying this, but the one guy that I think that might finish that probably will finish out of the top 5.
Ooh, you hit him with the probably.
Yeah, probably finish out of the top 5, and there's a realistic chance that he finishes outside of the top 10, which is crazy to say, but Christian McCaffrey, I think, is that guy.
That hurt my heart, man.
Yeah, I know. I hurt you right in the soul. Punched you right in the chest.
You just clocked me like Kareem Hunt clocked somebody at a bar.
The more I look at Christian McCaffrey, because Fantasy Pros is telling me to draft him right now. The more I look at Christian McCaffrey, the more I go, this guy is not really. I don't know. For me, I think that he exploded through the first 12 weeks of the season, and then he completely shattered the first 4 weeks and the last 3 weeks of the season as far as touchdowns are concerned. So I think that he's not going to be that good. I'm going to take Alvin Kamara here as my pick. But yeah, I don't trust Christian McCaffrey this year just because of the touchdowns. I think he's going to get the same amount of targets, the same amount of yardage, all that stuff. I just think the touchdowns were a little hyper efficient. I think there'll be a small regression. If that's the case, if he goes back to scoring touchdowns like he did the previous year, he will be an RB12. Like through the first 6 weeks of the season, he was an RB12. I think that's what he could be if he doesn't score touchdowns.
You said the last 3 weeks of the season too with McCaffrey.
Yeah.
That was also without Cam Newton.
Yeah, that's
so true. Their whole offense weren't really scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
you brought up the fact too that you're like, I think some people will think I'm on drugs. I'm one of those people. I don't know what you're doing, but no, I understand your point.
Yeah.
Because McCaffrey is known for not really scoring a lot of touchdowns, but what he did last year, it's hard to ignore. And you had a tough decision with the 3rd overall pick going between Kamara and McCaffrey.
Right.
And I'm sitting there right behind you at number 4, and I get to, in this spot, just perfectly pick the guy you don't take. And in this case, it's the guy I wanted anyway. Christian McCaffrey is my boy.
Yep.
Everybody knows it. Welcome to the team, boss.
Welcome to the team. Yeah, and the reason why I picked Kamara is that he is... I've also bounced between him and Zeke at the 2 spot, and the thing that I struggle with is the fact that Kamara doesn't get yardage. He struggles getting yardage, but he scores so many touchdowns. It's unbelievable. When you look at his number, I think he had 21 touchdowns last year, I believe. So when you look at Kamara's numbers, you're like, wow, this guy's going to score a lot, and if he gets the yardage, he can be the number 1 running back in fantasy, but he's 3rd on my board because I don't think he's going to get the yardage. I don't think that he's that type
of... the touchdowns, you mean?
No, he gets the touchdowns. He's not going to get the yardage. He only had I think it was 1,300 all-purpose yards last year, so which is low for a guy finishing in the top 3. So I don't judge you for taking McCaffrey. Don't judge you. He was 4th on my rankings. Who you got at? Well, actually, should we tell the?
Yeah.
So David Johnson went at 105,
which is interesting. You went ahead of Melvin Gordon.
He has been slowly rising.
He is.
Up. And I was listening to another podcast the other day, and somebody said it was like a bold prediction. It was it wasn't the other day. It was from a month ago or whatever. It was a bold prediction that said, as you approach training camp and you start seeing David Johnson, you get him in training camp and you get him in the preseason, you get through all that stuff, he's going to end up being a top 4 pick. And I was like,
he might be.
I'm like, he might jump into that top 4. I don't think he can get past McCaffrey. But if something,
I think he'll be 5.
If something interesting happens, then that could go there.
Crazy.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, he was not even in the first round.
Yeah, which sucks. Melvin Gordon goes 6 in the first round. DeAndre Hopkins goes 7. Adams goes 8. Le'Veon Bell goes 9. Michael Thomas goes 10. And then the beginning of the second round, 201, Julio Jones, 202, Joe Mixon, 203, Odell Beckham, 204. Juju Smith-Schuster, so 6 wide receivers off the board already. It's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook, 205, and James Conner, 206.
So, here, this is a tough spot for me. There's a lot of different options I could go. I can honestly, in my head right now, I could go 4 or 5 different guys here with the 17th pick to 207. Now, the guy I wanted was actually James Conner, who I didn't think would be here, but he almost was. He got picked right before me. And I thought somebody who would be there would be Juju, but he got picked actually earlier. He got picked 204. So I'm stuck right now on the board right now. I drafted McCaffrey in the first round. So my second round options are Todd Gurley, Travis Kelce, Nick Chubb, Damian Williams, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Leonard Fournette, maybe even T.Y. Hilton. This is really hard. I think I know who you'd pick.
Yeah.
Do you know who you're going to pick?
Probably.
You have an idea?
I have an idea.
See, I'm very tempted to go Antonio Brown.
I don't want to give too much away, bro.
I'm very tempted to go AB.
The temptation is real.
I've kind of been on the train
pick because he's fallen to 20.
And
pick 20.
I kind of like a receiver here, but I'm going to go Nick Chubb. Oh, you look surprised.
A little bit.
So
explain to me why.
So Nick Chubb, I'm not the biggest Nick Chubb guy, but in a situation like this, my running backs now are sitting with McCaffrey and Chubb.
Yeah. I
have a legit 1-2 there. I know my next pick, a receiver is going to be on the board. And even if, for example, we talked about in the past,
right?
If you're not a crazy fan of a guy and your guys just got picked, don't be afraid to draft for a trade. I'm not saying I would trade Nick Chubb because I don't dislike him that much. Yeah. I still think he's good.
Right.
But it's one of those things where now my running backs are set though.
Yeah.
So
right.
You're up.
You're pretty set. You left a man on the board for me.
I know who you're going to take, and I think
why would you do this?
I think it's wrong.
This is actually a very large run on running backs in this first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And mock drafts that I've been doing, I've had to, for the 209 spot for our league, when I do a mock draft, I usually end up with Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb sitting at 209. So the fact that we're at 208 and Nick Chubb there. And Dalvin Cook are off the board, like your next best running back
Damian
after
Williams.
Todd Gurley is like Leonard Fournette and Damian Williams.
Right.
And so that's kind of concerning. Like, I don't know if I'm drafting for real in this spot and I'm kind of have to take Todd Gurley. I mean, I'm all right with taking Todd Gurley, and I'll explain to you why in a second. But like, it is kind of tough. It makes you kind of think like, okay, maybe I should go wide receiver here.
Right. Yeah, I'm starting to stay away from Todd Gurley. I think that's who you're going to pick.
Yeah.
But lately, with everything that comes out,
I'm going to take Todd.
Each day it gets worse and worse for Todd. Like, his value gets worse and worse. But I understand why you do it.
Holy crap.
Oh, boy. Some guys be dropping.
Yeah. So Leonard Fournette came at 209, Antonio Brown 210, Kelsey at 301, and then Mike Evans at 302. So I see here at 303. I'm going to talk about the Todd Gurley pick for a second.
Okay.
So Todd Gurley, I think a lot of people are afraid of him. I think a reasonable reason to be afraid of Todd Gurley is the fact that he does have the arthritis in his knee that could lead to an injury. I am not afraid to take Todd Gurley because of his role. And I think a lot of people are overhyping Darrell Henderson. They're overhyping this whole situation with his knee. Mm-hmm. He will see a little bit decreased of a role, but to think that they're going to go split back or they're going to take 40% of his snaps away is absolutely asinine. It's crazy how
we'll
stupid
see.
that is.
The way
that it's trending, but that's just because people like us fantasy football people have been sitting here watching this happen for an entire offseason, reading into way too much. Even
that's true.
People from the Rams are saying that people are reading way too much into this. So for me, when I look at Todd Gurley, he's a hyper-efficient player. He gets that 1.5 fantasy point per touch situation. In a half PPR league, that is freaking spectacular.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
If he touches the ball, and just to put some perspective in that, Zeke does last year he was 0.8. So with Todd Gurley touches the ball 250 times, because last year he touched it 325 or something like that, somewhere around that range.
Yeah.
If he touches the ball just 250 times, he still gets 250 fantasy points, somewhere around 250, 245 to 250, which puts him in the top 6 conversation. And if that happens for Todd Gurley and I can get him at 208 and not in the first round, I'm all right with that. I'm 100% all right with that. I think you keep letting them fall to me, boys. Keep doing it.
See, what I would just say about Todd Gurley is if I'm drafting right now, today, I'm not taking Todd Gurley. However, in drafts in like August and stuff, and you see him play in the preseason and we get even more information, then I would maybe take Gurley, but I think the risk right now in the second round is just too high. I don't disagree with you taking him though.
Yeah.
Because if everything you said is true, you're getting him a giant steal in the second round.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think at that point, my options, right? I'll give you my options. It was Todd Gurley, Leonard Fournette, Damian Williams, Marlon Mack, Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson. I wouldn't take any of those running backs. Some of those running backs I wouldn't take at 208.
Yeah.
But just to give you an idea of Leonard Fournette goes right after Todd Gurley. And for me, I'm not taking Leonard Fournette over Todd Gurley. I'm sorry. If I'm looking at a running back in that spot, I'm not taking Leonard Fournette over Todd Gurley. I can't justify it. So now I'm at 303. Just a reminder: Fournette 209, Brown 210, Kelsey 301, Evans 302. So nothing too out of the ordinary here. Conventional wisdom would tell you to take a wide receiver.
Uh-oh.
He says, "Uh-oh." In my conventional wisdom, I probably should take a wide receiver.
Well,
so some of my wide receivers available: Hilton, Thaleen, Keenan Allen, AJ Green, Stefan Diggs, Kenny Golladay. So these guys are probably going to go in the next 2 rounds. And I'm in my tier 4 of running backs already. So I have Damian Williams on the board. Marlon Mack, Aaron Jones, and then Kerryon Johnson.
See, I won't say anything until you make a pick, but
I'm going to take Aaron Jones.
Okay.
I did it.
I don't dislike that pick.
Why?
Because even if... So you have 3 running backs right now. You could keep those 3 running backs and be stacked at running back.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, and just kind of like see how the rest of the draft plays out. Maybe you can get a steal at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You could also, if that doesn't work, you now have 3 very good running backs, and you can easily trade one of them for a top 10 receiver.
Right.
So I don't really mind taking a running back there, and I really like Aaron Jones. So I don't mind the pick.
Yeah.
It's not what I would have done, but if you would have took this guy, I would have done that. And this guy who I'm referring to is AJ Green, who I think is getting slept on a little bit. He's getting drafted right now, late 3rd round, mid 3rd round. I'm taking him here in the mid 3rd round. He's going to be a WR1 for me, and I now am set at running back. I have a legit, in my opinion, WR1, and now I'm just kind of building the rest of my team slowly around that.
Right.
I think AJ Green, among the receivers available, like Amari Cooper, T.Y. Hilton, Adam Thielen, I'll take AJ Green over those guys.
Yeah. So for me, that's not a bad pick.
I was tempted to go Marlon Mack,
but there were some guys. Hilton and Thielen were on the board.
So would you go Thielen or?
I have Hilton, Thielen, and Keenan Allen all ranked ahead of AJ Green right now.
Do you really?
I do. I
Keenan Allen?
I think the foot injury is a lot more concerning than
I'm not
people
as
are
concerned
giving
about
it.
it.
Yeah,
as
I can
you are.
tell. He took AJ Green. So next we have 305 Williams, 306 Thielen, 307 Hilton, then Mack, Josh Jacobs, Amari Cooper, Derrick Henry, George Kittle, Keenan Allen, Patrick Mahomes in the 4th round.
No, I was going to take him.
Devonta Freeman, and then Zachary Ertz. And then it falls back to you at 407.
So, now that I have 2 running backs and a receiver too, I can go any way I want here. On the board, we got Kerryon Johnson, Stephon Diggs, David Montgomery, Julian Edelman, Mark Ingram, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Cooks, Phillip Lindsay, and maybe even a quarterback. I could go Andrew Luck. So, I really want to draft my guy Mark Ingram here, but I'm not going to because Kerryon Johnson's on the board. I mean, it's hard to pass Kerryon Johnson right now, going late in the 4th round. He has a tremendous upside.
Yeah,
he could really be a top fantasy running back this year. I'm getting him in the 4th round.
Right.
So now my team at running back, I got McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Kerryon Johnson's my flex, and then AJ Green's my receiver. So far, I'm pretty happy with the draft.
I purposely took my 3-headed monster at running back because I felt this draft and where guys are going is extremely deep for wide receivers. And that's
it's true.
Every year the wide receiver position is very deep. But I'm noticing that this year there's a lot of guys that have a lot of potential to break out. Now, not all of them are going to do it, but the way they're falling in rounds, it makes me feel better about not taking a wide receiver in the top 3. Now, would I suggest taking a wide receiver in the 2nd round? Most of the time, yes. But the guy I would have taken at 208 had he not been taken was Juju. So,
same with me.
And I was contemplating Mike Evans. So for me, I'm not really sure that it was I'm not a huge fan of the Todd Gurley pick, but at that spot, Todd Gurley fell to me. I'm all right with that. I have to draft a wide receiver. Now, you don't want to ever put yourself in a box, but at this point, I got to draft a wide receiver. Yeah. I was waiting for this pick because I kind of knew this guy was going to be on the board. Stephon Diggs is going to be my number 1 wide receiver. I take him because he finished in the top 10 in half PPR. He has, over the last half of the season, when Adam Thielen decided to crap the bed and suck, Stephon Diggs was the guy that they were throwing to. Yeah. I think that Stephon Diggs is the number 1 receiver, and they want that guy to be the main person. And so, for me, getting Diggs, there is a potential. For me, I think Diggs is going to finish as a wide receiver, the 10th, like a low end wide receiver 1 again. I think that's where he's going to go. That's his ceiling. I don't think he's going to go anywhere past that. There is a chance that he plays really well. I just don't like Diggs' inconsistency, but to be my wide receiver 1, I'm all right with that, at least for now. And like you said, I can make a trade later or figure something out. And there's also guys later in the draft that could break out and have a wide receiver 1 season. So I'll take Diggs in this spot, and I'll be very happy with it. Okay. The next guy off the board is Brandon Cooks, which is a little, I guess, I don't know. I feel like it's early, but I'm not a huge
What about the guy after that? Is that your guy?
Philip Lindsay? Heck to the no. I do not like Philip Lindsay at all. He's my 29th ranked running back. So he just went 410. Whoa. I have him on my tier 6 ranked 29.
Okay.
So 29 quarterbacks. No, it's not
running
a little.
Backs.
It's true. 29 among running backs. Yeah. David Montgomery comes off the board after him. I have him ranked 25 despite my love. And Julian Edelman then comes off the board again after him.
Okay.
So now I'm sitting here. Stefon Diggs is my number 1 wide receiver, and there's no other way I can go than Kenny Golladay.
It's a good pick.
That's my man's. So I'm going to take Kenny Golladay there and be happy with it. He's one of those guys that could break out as a number 1 wide receiver, but I think his floor is a wide receiver 2. So if Stefon Diggs is going to finish as a low-end wide receiver 1, and I can finish with like Kenny Golladay, who ends up like the 12th best wide receiver next year, then I get 2 guys who are finishing in a relatively good region. And they're, guys that I'm drafting as the, I guess like the 20 to 25 at wide receiver. So that really helps my team out because I'm able to get the 3-headed monster at running back and still get a decent wide receiver core for the season. So now you're up 504. What you got, boss?
That's a great pick. That was the guy I wanted, but I knew I wasn't going to get him because I knew you were going to take him.
So I was contemplating Calvin Ridley or Cooper Kupp, but
so my guy Mark Ingram is still there, and I would actually
he's like holding out for you.
So I have 3 running backs right now. So if I draft another one, he's going to the bench, but that's not an entirely bad idea because I could just draft him and then try to trade one of the other guys for another receiver to go with AJ Green, which is definitely an option. An interesting guy on the board right now, Tyreek Hill, a guy we talked about.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take him, but this is where I'd probably start to look. I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp. It might be a little bit off the board. He's going 51. I don't know. That's like...
Yeah.
That's not crazy off the board, actually. It's kind of a 3-headed monster with the Rams receiving core.
Yeah.
At that point, you kind of just pick the guy you want. Brandon Cooks is already off the board, so it came down to Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp. And Cooper Kupp, to me, is more Jared Goff's favorite option. So that's the guy I'm going to go with. Not bad. Not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go Kenny Golladay, but the difference... Golladay. To me, the difference between those two isn't crazy. So
no, it's not crazy at all. So after that, we have Tyreek Hill, Mark Ingram, Chris Carson, Kenyon Drake, Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck, Sony Michel, Calvin Ridley, Jarvis Landry, Robert Woods, Chris Godwin, and Tyler Lockett. Kind of surprised Robert Woods is actually going that late in drafts.
That is kind of surprising.
It is kind of surprising. I thought he was going in like the 5th round, but he is falling off boards at this point. Chris Godwin goes a little bit high, and then Lockett is. I don't know.
So
at this spot, I'm actually going to take somebody that is a little bit surprising, and I've made a 180 on.
It's my pick.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
I jumped the gun.
Hey, were you gonna pick? I don't want to be a party killer.
Yeah.
Were you gonna take Tyler Boyd?
No.
Oh, flip. Because I was actually thinking about taking Tyler Boyd.
I was not.
It's kind of off the board though, so I'm not going to.
Okay.
See, this is really hard for me.
Give me a pick, because
I want to go. You're gonna hate it, but I might go Deshaun Watson. I might do it.
Feel free. I'm all right with that.
Again, plenty of options here. My team is set, right?
I don't want to crush you too hard with this draft.
My starting lineup, Mr. Todd Gurley. My starting lineup is set.
No judging.
Right?
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm either drafting a tight end,
a
a quarterback, or bench. So I can go either way. And there is O.J. Howard. I love O.J. Howard. He's probably my favorite tight end.
Yeah.
Like out of out of the big three, the non-big three, I think he's the fourth best tight end right now in fantasy. He's on the board. I could grab him. Deshaun Watson's on the board, who I think is a top 3 fantasy quarterback. So it's tough. Darius Geis is on the board. I could go running back. I'm not going Tariq Cohen. I know you might. Is that an option? I did a 180. I'm not going to go Tariq Cohen. I'm going to go Tyler Boyd. I think he's got a lot of upside. Now, it's funny. I have A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd. So that is kind of A.J. Green insurance, too. If your theory holds up on the foot, well, I got Tyler Boyd right behind him. I think Tyler Boyd is one of these guys that could really break out this year. We've talked about him before. Him, DJ Moore, there's a couple of those guys. He's on the list. And now if he doesn't break out, it's not the worst thing in the world. He's on my bench. So I'm going to draft Tariq Cohen.
Oh, there you go. I need my bench slot to be filled here. Consistently, I've not liked Tariq Cohen, but over the past couple weeks, I've done a little bit of studying on Tariq Cohen, and somebody tweeted, I can't remember who it was, but somebody tweeted the other day that actually made me rethink it and start looking at like the statistics and trying to figure out why I would actually take Cohen. And A, I like that he's in the 6th round. That's 608 is like a good spot for him. And B, they said they had Jordan Howard, like they gave Jordan Howard the ball 270 times last year, whether it was through the air or on the ground. And Tariq Cohen still finished as the RB12. So if they give the ball to David Montgomery 270 times, Tariq Cohen could still finish as the RB12 or 13. And so for me, if that's his floor, and then if he I've talked about this, if he can get like 80 more touches, which is quite a lot, but if he can touch the ball 80 more times, I think he could finish as an RB1, and I think he could be a very good player. So I think he's got some upside. He's a decent player. He's just one-dimensional, and that's kind of what makes me nervous. But if he doesn't work out, it's not really the biggest – it's not going to hurt my starting lineup. You know what I mean? So for my next pick, after I took Cohen, Deshaun Watson came off the board, Drew Brees, Sammy Watkins, and then O.J. Howard. So we had 2 quarterbacks go off the board after this point. Drew Brees went extremely high. That is
very high. That's way too high.
I have him ranked as my 13th quarterback. So coming off the board is like what was the 5th or 6th quarterback? That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm going to take here. The intention was to take Tyler Boyd.
I know, that's why I took him there, because I knew he wasn't going to be available.
So I'm gonna be forced into I'm gonna take DJ Moore because I'm not gonna be able on the board. For a while.
All right.
I'll take DJ Moore. I like DJ Moore a lot. I've talked about him a million times, so I won't ramble on about him. But I think he has breakout potential. There was a post we did earlier this week about Tyler Boyd and DJ Moore and which one people would take. Moore is actually the more popular option, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they're both kind of, to me at least, like you get one or the other.
I think Boyd has more success as a second wide receiver, whereas DJ Moore is the number 1 guy, and that's why people like him.
The only reason
the problem is that the Carolina Panthers have never had a wide receiver 1 on their team in terms of like when Cam Newton has been the starting quarterback. So they've had a lot of wide receiver 2s, but like wide receiver 1s are just, they've always escaped them. And I think it's just because Cam Newton has eclipsed 4,000 yards once in his career. So there's just not a lot to go around in terms of where you're passing the football. But I think DJ Moore has better chance of any guy that they've had.
That's true.
To be a breakout. He's extremely talented. But who you got at 7-4?
I just the reason I went Boyd over DJ Moore was because I think kind of with Cam Newton, I don't really trust Cam Newton's shoulder all that much yet.
Right.
And even when he does throw it, I think there's going to be a lot of checkdowns to McCaffrey, and they're going to use kind of the screens and all that stuff. So that's why I went Boyd over DJ Moore, but don't hate DJ Moore. I'm actually going to go with another wide receiver here. I'm going to go Mike Williams. I think he's falling down in the draft right now. He's going in the 7th round. I believe, what is the name of the guy that signed with the Raiders that used
Tyrell Williams.
So Tyrell Williams left. It used to be a big trio right there at the Chargers with the receiving core. He's gone now. So it's really just Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So I think the opportunity for Mike Williams is there to really be solid. I know in a lot of drafts, I was just looking this up, he's actually going late 5th round right now. And I was able to get him in the mid-7th, so to me that's a good value pick. And I think he's a good asset for the bench. So now I'm on the board again. This part of the draft, I mean, you're looking at what I'm looking. This is pretty ugly.
Yeah, it's getting.
This is very, very ugly.
It's getting bad.
And I hate to do this again, but I'm going with another wide receiver, Dante Pettis. This guy has breakout potential. Again, kind of a theme. Could be the number 1 wide receiver for San Francisco. There's really not too many options there, and if you're somebody like me who loves and believes in Jimmy Garoppolo, that could be a big play. So it's going to be tough, especially going forward, because I have 5 receivers now. So I kind of got to move. But
I'm going to take Christian Kirk.
Okay,
that's my man's. I love Christian Kirk. I was a little bit perturbed, if that's the proper vocabulary.
Yeah.
When they took like 5 million wide receivers in the draft, and then I sat down and I was like, yeah, they're not going to be. Like, it's going to be Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk as the main 2 receivers, and then their third guy is going to be I can't remember the name of the guy they drafted. I think it's Isabella. What's his first name though?
What was it?
Isabella is his last name. I can't remember. A rookie wide receiver. Yeah. Regardless, a lot of the rookie wide receivers aren't going to be. They're guys I liked, but they're not going to be as prevalent in this offense just because of the opportunity. I think Christian Kirk is the most talented wide receiver in the offense. And so, to me, I think he has breakout potential. He already was extremely good, and apparently he's picked up the air raid offense in Arizona pretty quickly. So I'll take him there. It sets me up pretty good in my wide receiver position at this point. I have 4 running backs and 4 wide receivers, so I'm pretty balanced at this point in the 9th round as we approach the back half of the draft. But after that, we have Darrell Henderson at pick 809, 810, Allen Robinson, 901, Jordan Howard, 902, Miles Sanders. So now I got to make a decision. 903, going with my strategy of not taking quarterbacks and tight ends until the back end. It gets kind of tough at this point. There is Sammy Watkins still on the board. Sammy Watkins is interesting. Is he off the board? Did he come off?
I think he did.
No. Never mind.
Oh yeah, he came off the board a while ago.
I was getting excited.
He got drafted in the 7th round.
I had my sheet of paper and I was crossing out names and I completely forgot to cross out Sammy Watkins when that happened. So right now I have a tier 6 running back left, and I'm in the top tier. I'm in the tier 6 of wide receivers right now. So number 30 on my rankings, I have Latavius Murray. And number 31, 32, and 33, I have Sterling Shepard, Allen Robinson, and Courtland Sutton. So I think
Allen Robinson got drafted.
Did he? Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say Allen Robinson. I meant to say Sterling Shepard, Courtland Sutton. But I'm going to take Latavius Murray here. He's going into the same role as Mark Ingram was last year. Yep. I don't think he's going to get as much work, but in the time that he has had, at least with Minnesota, he has shown that he can be decent. I think with another guy there taking pressure off him, it'll make him a lot better of a running back. And if they utilize him like Mark Ingram, he could be a decent RB2. I don't think that he can be any more than that. He's more of like, I'm going to use this guy to throw in deals later down the road to try to be good. But there's nothing really in this round. Like, even like if Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard were still on the board, I wouldn't have taken them. I probably would have taken Latavius Murray. But Murray is the guy that I'll go with here at 903.
I'm very, very tempted to go Kareem Hunt here.
Oh.
I'm not going to.
I was about to say.
But very tempted.
Right.
Hey, your boy Eric Ebron is, according to ADP, the best player available right now.
Oh boy! If you take him home,
I don't like any of the 3 top tight ends right now, which is Ebron, Cook, or Vance McDonald.
Yeah.
I actually like Njoku more than those guys, but I'm still probably not going to go with Njoku right now in the 9th round.
Right.
You know, you're going to hate this pick, but I've been very consistent with drafting my guy, who was once your guy, Carson Wentz, in the 9th round. I have been on the Carson Wentz train for a while. I think he's going to have a great season. They surrounded him with a lot of talent this year. It's the second year coming off the injury, after the ACL injury, so he should be ready to go full health. You're giving a weird face.
Ronald Jones came off the board in the 9th round.
Oh, he did. Wow, okay.
Yeah, I was like, what the crap is going on here?
So it is my pick again. Those tight ends, Vance McDonald's still available, but someone else is still available, and that's David Njoku, who I'm going to take. I think Njoku has a lot of upside. Kind of a fan of the Cleveland Browns, as a lot of people are right now. If it loads, there we go. I think like the tight ends that just went, Jared Cook, who was Eric Ebron, and Vance McDonald still on the board. I think Njoku's the best out of those 4 guys to me. And now my starting lineup is set pretty much, other than kicker and defense, which I don't really count. But now I just got to fill out the bench.
So for me, oh, you didn't take your guy.
Oh yeah, I did. It did on my screen.
Yeah.
Does it need a load?
Hold on.
You can just talk about the guy.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. So you took Njoku.
Yeah.
I'm gonna avoid. A lot of people are hyped up right now. One of the high guys on the board is Vance McDonald.
Yep.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the screen. Vance McDonald is 19 on my rankings because I think he's just going to be a complete cluster this year. Everyone's like, oh, he's going to be really good. No, stop. The guy I'm going to draft here is going to be Corey Davis.
Oh, my guy.
Yeah, no.
You took him from me, dude.
I'm going to take Corey Davis. I think that Corey Davis has the potential of doing something good this year, possibly. I'm not really, like you said, I'm not a huge fan. Like I told you on our sleeper show for wide receivers, I'm not a huge fan of Corey Davis. But if they get a good passer in there and they start passing the ball a little bit more, I think Corey Davis has the potential of being a really good pick. So next off the board is Cortland Sutton, and then Vance McDonald, Kyler Murray, and Marvin Jones. So I got beat out. I like Kyler Murray. I was going to take him at 11.
Oh, wow, you were?
Yeah, I was going to take him at 11, and he got snagged off the board. So now I'm sitting here. I already know what I'm going to do at quarterback. I'm going to go Cam Newton.
Oh, so you are taking a quarterback, you liar.
I'm not a liar. I just was going to take Kyler Murray, and he came off the board. So
I don't like taking quarterbacks.
I have Cam Newton ranked as my 5th quarterback in Tier 2, and he's sitting here at round 11.
There you go.
Pick 3. So I will definitely take him at that spot. Like I said, I'm staying consistent with that. I have to. I got burned too badly in the past, taking quarterbacks far too high. Carson Wentz is not a bad pick in the 9th round.
Yeah.
But I feel like I need to build out my team first and then continue growing from there. So who do you got 1104?
So at this point, I'm kind of looking at, there's a lot of quarterbacks available, which I do not want. I just took Carson Wentz. There's a lot of running backs available, which I kind of need and could use because I have 3 running backs right now and 5 receivers. Mm-hmm. So out of the running backs available, we got a lot of them right now. It's a running back round. McKinnon, Jalen Samuels, Carlos Hyde, Deontay Foreman. There you go. Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
So there's some guys I could go with. Man, this is tough. I want to go Jarrett McKinnon, actually, which I think you would kill me for.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan of him either, but at this point...
Did you take him?
I did not. I'm not going to take him, but you wanted me to, didn't you? Oh, you you loser.
I jumped the gun.
He's writing it down on his little notes for anybody that can't see. He's got every single player who's supposed to get drafted.
OG.
And he's crossing them out with each pick.
Yeah, it helps me keep pace with my tiers. Old school, pen and paper.
I'm going to go Ito Smith.
Idaho?
Yeah.
We going
Mr.
Idaho
Smith.
Let's go.
I was kind of, at this point in the draft too, I'm looking for players with that breakout or not necessarily breakout, but even guys with like upside. Deontay Foreman was the guy I was looking at, who we talked about earlier, but I wasn't quite sold on him. With Mr. Idaho Smith, he's kind of playing the Tevin Coleman role this year, And with a good chance of Devontae Freeman getting hurt like he usually does, that could open up a huge opportunity for Mr. Smith to really carry the Falcons' running backs and running game overall. So taking him in the 11th round and being a bench player, I'm fine with. So I'm on the board again. And this is an absolute crap show at this point in the draft.
What do you think I wait?
Yeah, that's true. This is tough. I gotta think about.
Don't you want to go Jaguars D?
Yeah, that dude. You got me there, man. That's the one I was looking at. Jaguars defense. I'm gonna go Peyton Barber. So the reason I go Peyton Barber here is I think me and you both agree Ronald Jones is the guy.
Yeah.
If anyone's gonna break out, but to me, the chances of Ronald Jones breaking out or Peyton Barber breaking out is high. So I think one of them could break out.
Yeah.
And I think it's more likely that it's going to be Ronald Jones. But sitting here in the 12th round with the chance that it could be Peyton Barber, I'll take that risk. So now my team is pretty much, I got 5 running backs, 5 receivers, a quarterback, a tight end. So I'm pretty much set.
I'm trying to decide what I want to do now.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? It's garbage shoot right now. For anybody watching on YouTube, you can look at those available players. Carlos Hyde, Jacksonville Jaguars defense, Golden Tate.
Yeah, one of them.
Adrian Peterson, Tom Brady, man, that would have been a great duo in 2011 in fantasy drafts.
I think what I'm going to do here is take...
I know who I'd take here.
This is a tough one. I want to take one guy, but I shouldn't. Oh, my word. The guy I was talking about, Darwin Thompson, he's actually draftable now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I'm going to take Matt Breida. I'll take Matt Breida,
Okay.
my fifth running back. So now I got 5 running backs, 5 wide receivers. I'm feeling good.
That's what same with me, boss.
My quarterback is Cam Newton. So, I mean, at this point, I don't like the San Francisco 49ers backfield, but I think at some point it's going to come. I think Matt Breida is a great sleeper, and I think that at some point it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
Like something's going to happen in that backfield.
Somebody's going to be an on-man out, which means somebody's going to do well.
Yeah, so for me, I'll take him there. Carlos Hyde was the other guy that I was looking at.
That's the guy I probably would have took in that spot.
And I think the reason why I like Carlos Hyde is because he's a part of the Chiefs system. He's kind of an all-purpose back a little bit, and he had some time where he was a top 10 back in fantasy at one point in his career. So he's not an awful player, but I think that they're so dead set on Damian Williams right now that he's going to be the guy there. So now I pick at 13.3. Mm-hmm. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to take Josh Allen as my second quarterback.
Oh, that's who I was going to take.
I was going to take Josh Allen as my second quarterback.
That was the guy I was taking. You're going with my strat, aren't you?
No, not really. I just like Josh Allen.
Even if you're not intentionally doing it, you are. You took a veteran quarterback.
Yeah.
Then you took, oh boy. Remind me later.
Now we
computer update. You got a veteran quarterback.
Now we need kickers.
And then
kickers and defenses. Let's go.
You took the veteran quarterback and then you took
after this
the breakout quarterback. So
yeah.
Thanks for going with my strategy, but you ruined my strategy, or did you?
Or did I?
Because you took Josh Allen, which is probably the guy that I was going to take, which is the guy I was going to take. But you know who else who has breakout potential, in my opinion, that you absolutely hate, Mr. Lamar Jackson. I think...
No, stop. Come on.
In the 13th round.
the truck up, boss.
So, okay, well,
don't get so sweaty.
Here's what so look at it from this point of view, though.
Mm-hmm.
You're in my spot. You're in the 13th round.
Yeah.
You got guys like Golden Tate, like guys that just went off the board. Mr. Kiki, Damian Harris, Tom Brady, Emmanuel Sanders, a bunch of defenses, a bunch of kickers. Why not take a chance on a guy that can easily be a top 10 fantasy quarterback?
Because he blows.
Easily. Okay, so you think he blows.
No, I actually like him. I just don't think he's going to be that great this year.
I'm not sure if he will be or if he won't be, but I'm taking a chance on a guy in the 13th round that I think could be a top 10 fantasy quarterback that I'm getting for pretty much nothing. I could drop him. He's going to be my last pick, my last player pick. So to me, I'm taking a flyer on a guy that could or couldn't work out. So now I'm sitting here.
You need a kicker and a defense here.
Oh boy, this is exciting.
We're just gonna move fast with these two.
I'm very tempted to take T.J. Hawkinson and just not go with a kicker, but I'm not gonna do that. So I gotta actually look at what defenses and kickers are available. I'm gonna go with Houston Texans defense. I think if we last mock draft, that's what we did together. Yep. Defenses you can do whatever you want with. You can go week to week with them, which is what I do. But I'm going with Texans defense just because I think pass rush will be a key for them. They'll get a lot of sacks. But it really changes week to week for me.
I took New England Patriots defense.
Oh, there you go.
After that, it was Fairbarn, Will Lutz, Deshaun Jackson, and Cowboys D. So now I'm here. Just got to take a kicker, and I hate to go both.
I knew it.
Patriots, but I'll go Steven Gostkowski.
Dude, why are you gonna steal my dude, man?
Always. You're probably gonna take Vinatieri.
Nope.
Vinatieri.
Vinatieri is too old for me, boss.
I'm
jumping on Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers bandwagon. I'm going with Robbie Gould.
Yep. I was expecting you to start talking about why you took him. That's gonna do it for our mock draft. Just to give you some of the guys, I'm not going to talk about all of them because they were mostly kickers and defense, but we did end the draft with 3 position players, Curtis Samuel, Devin Singletary, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I'm noticing that Curtis Samuel, Devin Singletary, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling are falling into that last round.
Sleepers.
Yeah, as sleepers. So my team consists of Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley, Aaron Jones, Stefon Diggs, Kenny Golladay, Tariq Cohen, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, Latavius Murray, Corey Davis, Cam Newton, Matt Breida, Josh Allen, and New England Patriots D with Stefon Diggs. And Rick's team, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, AJ Green, Kerryon Johnson, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Boyd, Mike Williams, Dante Pettis, Carson Wentz, David Njoku, Ido Smith, Peyton Barber, Lamar Jackson, and Houston Texans D with Robbie Gould. You know what I didn't do? I didn't take a tight end.
Oh, yeah, you forgot about that,
I'm a pro, bro.
Yeah. I think I win just because you didn't take a tight end.
I'm streaming tight ends. But, yeah, it's always interesting to see how your draft kind of works out as you're mock drafting. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to work with different scenarios. Recently, I've been playing around with that 3 headed monster at running back, and trying to figure out how to make that work in my drafts. I don't know if I'll end up using it, but it's one of those things that I'll take a look at. You know what I mean? As we continue to go through, the rest of the off season.
Yeah, I think what you did too with after you took the 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds. You didn't have a bad Diggs and Galladay. Sorry, I say Galladay. Stefon Diggs and Kenny Galladay. That's not bad for a receiver duo. So I think that's one way to make it work. That's not too bad.
I just can't believe I didn't take a tight end.
Yeah, that's.
I was getting so infatuated with Josh Allen. It doesn't really matter. I can just drop Josh Allen.
Dude, I think my draft would have been perfect if I took Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, God.
Instead of Kerryon Johnson.
That does it for our second mock draft episode. The next one we'll probably do together or maybe against each other, depending on how this works out. I kind of like going against. Oh, you like versing me? Be sure to listen on Thursday for our new series of episodes about forgotten players from 2018. It's about to get real. We're going to give you guys that are completely just...
People kind of... sleeping on them and forgetting about them.
Sleeping on them and forgetting about them. They're not sleepers, but they're falling in drafts.
Yeah, they're not sleepers, but people had a dream and don't remember the dream.
Talk to you Thursday, Fantasy Champs.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.